Hello, welcome back to my channel and welcome to another reading vlog where I'm gonna be reading Bunny. So, Bunny is a horror novel and we follow Samantha, who goes to college at the Warren University, and there are some girls at that university who call each other Bunny, a group of 4 girls. And everyone finds them weird. But Samantha one day gets an invitation to go to one of their parties. And then she gets drawn into their cults and things get weird from there. And well, this vlog is completely filled with spoilers about this book. And yeah, let's just get into the reading footage. Okay, so I am 1/3 into Bunny, and every single person I've seen or read reviewing this book says that it's very weird. And I can confirm that. I started reading it last night, and my mom asked me if it was horror. And I was like, well, it's supposed to be, but so far it's just weird. And it got even weirder after that. So we follow Samantha, who is a master's student at Warren University. And she has a friend called Ava. And both Samantha and Ava are at a party where the bunnies are. And Samantha came up with nicknames for all of the bunnies, and they are Cupcake, Creepy Doll, Vignette, and the Duchess. And I'm not really sure I remember all their names. I know that Cupcake is Caroline, Creepy Doll is Kira, the Duchess is Eleanor, and Vignette I don't remember. Let me see if I can find that. She's called Victoria. But anyway, they're at that party and they are commenting on how strange the bunnies are, and both Samantha and Ava think they are really strange. And all 4 of the bunnies are in the same master's program as Samantha. A couple days after that, or maybe even the next day, Samantha gets an invitation to go to the Smut Salon, which is some kind of party, I guess, the bunnies organize. And it's just gonna be the 4 bunnies and Samantha. And when she tells Ava, Ava's like, you're not actually thinking of going to that, right? I mean, we both know they're really weird. Why would you go to that? But Samantha does go. And when she gets there, they tell her that they made a drink specially for her, and they called it the Samantha. And I mean, she drinks it. And I'm just like, why would you drink something that people you don't like or trust prepared for you? I think it's a pretty obvious thing not to do. But anyway, she drinks it, and they tell stories to each other. And I mean, it was weird, but it wasn't the level of weird I was expecting. And it did get way, way, way weirder after that. And at the end of the party, they tell her to catch a bunny. And so when she wakes up the next morning, she has a bunny in her bedroom. And at first she doesn't remember why the hell there's a bunny in her bedroom. But then she does remember what happened. And after that, bunnies around the school start following her everywhere. And even one of her friends notices it. The bunnies follow her. And when she's sitting down, bunnies gather around her. And again, that's very weird. And Ava has stopped talking to Samantha ever since she went to the party. And Samantha has tried to reach out, she calls, she texts, but Ava just does not reply. And a while later, she gets an invitation to another party, and that party is at Creepy Doll or Kira's house. And when she gets there, they're all dressed up as if they were going to prom. And so they give Samantha a dress, and they do her hair, and while 2 of them are doing that, the other 2 are with 4 boys. And when Samantha joins them, the boys act really weird. The girls after that, they leave to go somewhere, they go upstairs, and they leave Samantha with the boys. And I'm just gonna read, I'm not gonna read the whole page, but the whole page I was just what? So I'm just gonna read what the boys were saying. They were really weird. They were Your beauty is nuanced and labyrinthine like a sentence by Proust. Melanie Schindler is a whore compared to you. Pigeon-toed, bad eyeliner. I couldn't see it then because I was a fool, but I have since developed my perception. And then Samantha hears a scream. And she was like, what was that? And then all of the boys, they say this. Samantha, tell us about you, Samantha. Samantha, tell us everything, Samantha. Samantha, we want to listen. Samantha, we're dying to know. And I'm just like, what? And after that, she's like, did you not hear that? Did you not hear the scream? And one of them says, your beauty is like screaming, Samantha. And I'm just like, what the actual fuck is happening? And they look weird and they're all like wearing gloves. And after that, the girls come down. They don't really like explain the screaming. One of them just says that, oh, that was me. I do that sometimes. And they tell Samantha that they have a surprise for her. And so they open the door, and at the door is Rob, who is a guy Samantha used to have a crush on, and she told them at the other party. So he's there, even though like he looks different and he's weird, and he's also wearing the same gloves as the other guys. And they like start dancing, but again, the boys are all acting really weird. And then like Rob starts screaming and yelling at her, saying that she thinks she's better than everyone, but she's not, and like whatever. And then his head explodes. Like his head literally just explodes. And the next thing we know is that it's the next morning, and Samantha like wakes up at Kira's house, and Kira's just pretending like nothing did really happen, and they just go to school. They literally just go to school. And Samantha's like, what is happening? And I'm just like, what is happening? And they just go to school and they say all these amazing things about the things that Samantha wrote, which they never did. Like they were never actually nice about the things she wrote. And it's just really weird. Oh, and one other thing, like when they got to school, like she was with Kira, but when the others got there, she like didn't recognize them? I don't know. Like they call me Bunny. I've forgotten all their names, but they help me remember. And then like they say Caroline, Victoria, Eleanor. But like how can she not remember them or like their names? And she says that her names feel strange, and I'm just like, what do you mean? Because I mean everything feels strange in this book. But yeah, that's just where I'm at. The last thing I read was like at that class. And wow, it is strange. This book is really weird, but like the kind of weird I like. And like I definitely love how like you feel weird reading this book. Like when I read I'm Thinking of Ending Things, I also had this feeling like you feel weird reading it. And I really like that. And I'm wondering if we're gonna have like any actual rational explanation for what happened. Like there was a guy whose head exploded. But if we don't get a rational explanation, I'm also fine with that. But yeah, I'm actually really enjoying this book. And yeah, I'm definitely curious to keep reading. Oh, and I just want to say that Samantha is very relatable, like being a master's student and also like being a person who writes. I mean, she is actually like studying like to write stuff, and I'm not, but I actually like to write. And everything she says like about being always writing in other worlds and whatever, like very relatable. And also now that she has to write, she doesn't, and again, very relatable. Anyway, I think I'll update the vlog once I read 1/3 of this book. Okay, I am on page 255 of this book. And since my last update, the bunnies decided to basically let Samantha in on their little secret. And they call it the workshop. And basically, they use bunnies, like actual bunnies, to create boys, guys, men. Although they say that they don't like to call them boys, they call them darlings or drafts or hybrids. And like they do create them somehow. Is it explained like how? No, but they just get a bunny and a human comes out. So they do that in front of Samantha, and Samantha is also like, what? How does that work? And like the guy that comes out, he's not really functioning properly, and none of them are ever actually functioning humans. They always have like some kind of physical deformity, and also like mentally they're not they're not really there. But yeah, this one was like really malfunctioning, and so one of them, I think it was Kira, but I'm not entirely sure, but one of them just killed him. And so they created a few more until one of them was decent. At first, like Samantha was kind of, in shock, but then she was just okay with it. And we see that she really is becoming one of the bunnies. Okay, so on page 141, she's like the guy, the one that was kind of successful, comes out and she's like, "Everyone," Cupcake announces, "this is Odysseus." "Hello," the others murmur. And then I feel my own mouth moving too, exactly in sync with their shiny ones. And then on page 159, I mean, even before that, she kind of stops thinking of herself as a singular person. And whenever she's like thinking, she says, we do this, we thought this, we found it weird. And when they call her Samantha, she thinks it is so weird for us to hear that name spoken, so familiar but so far away. And like the fact that she starts thinking in a plural way, that kind of gave me some I'm thinking of ending things vibes, so love that. Oh, and like she doesn't call them by their names anymore or their nicknames she had for them. She just calls them all Bunny. Like Bunny did that and Bunny said that and Bunny thought it was weird and Bunny told Bunny whatever. And I mean, from the previous interactions we have, like from them, we can kind of tell which one is doing what, but it's really weird. But anyway, after that, they are on the street and Ava, who was Samantha's friend before that, finds them and she kind of kidnaps Samantha away. And at first, Samantha doesn't even recognize Ava. But after a bit, like she does, and she actually starts thinking of herself as like a singular person again. So that's kind of a victory, or so I thought. And Ava is telling her that she's gonna leave that town because there's really nothing there for her. And Samantha's like, "No, don't leave." Just like she wants to tell her like, "Don't leave me. Like I want you to be here," but she like physically cannot say it. And that's probably on whatever influence the bunnies have on her. And then Eleanor, who is the bunny's leader, talks to Ava. But like we don't know what she tells her, but Ava just goes away and we never see her again, and Samantha never sees her again. Then they tell Samantha that it's her turn to take charge in the workshop. So they take her bunny for her and she does whatever procedure is supposed to be done, but nothing really happens. And she tries a bunch of times and nothing happens. No boy is created. And like the bunny kind of runs away. And then they go outside to look for it. And there is a guy at a bus stop. And they go talk to him to see like if he's actually the creation. But he just looks like a normal human being, not like the weird creations they make. So they just assume that he is not whatever was created by Samantha. And the guy just leaves and they all go on with their lives. And actually, after that failed attempt at the workshop, the bunnies kind of stop talking to Samantha as well. And then it's holiday time, and Samantha doesn't really have anywhere to go for the holiday, so she just stays there at that town. And she's in a grocery store and she sees that guy, the one that was at the bus stop. And he kind of like, he smiles to her and waves and does all these crazy things, and she's like following him. But then a professor appears, and that professor invites Samantha to spend the holidays at her house. And so she goes there, and there's actually like one of Samantha's friends, Jonah, is in there. And Jonah is also super weird. He acts very strangely. I can't really tell what's exactly strange about him, but like the whole way in which he acts, it's just weird and off-putting, and like I hate it, but I love it. Anyway, he's there. And then another guy appears like in a uniform working there, and he is one of the bunny's creations. And Samantha just basically like kind of freaks out and she leaves the party or gathering, whatever, at her professor's house. And that is literally the last thing I read. And well, I'm really still enjoying this book, and I think it's like really fun to watch Samantha spiraling like into madness. Even when she's not near the bunnies anymore, she's not sane. Let's just say it like that. She's definitely not sane. And just like she always thought the bunnies were crazy, but she felt kind of drawn to them in a way, and that's literally me with this book. I know it's crazy and very strange, but I am very drawn to it, and I'm having a lot of fun reading it, and I still have this like claustrophobic feeling reading it, but yeah, I love it. It's just written so strangely, like the way everyone speaks. It's really weird, but I really, really love it. And yeah, like I said, Jonah is really strange, and I'm wondering if he was like one of their creations, even though like he seems to be a very functional person to be one of their creations. Anyway, like I said, really enjoying it, and I will update once I finish it. Okay, so I have finished the book, and things got even weirder. But I do have to say that I think this last third was actually my least favorite part of the book. But anyway, let's get into what happened. So I mentioned that guy that was at a bus stop, and Samantha was on the bus, and as soon as she mentioned that she was gonna get on a bus, I was like, the guy from the bus stop is gonna be there. And he was. And he started talking to her again, and then like she followed him after he got out of the bus, and he actually went to Ava's house. And so Ava led her back inside, and she just started living there again. And one day, like out of nowhere, the guy from the bus, who is called Max, just appeared there, and he kissed Ava, and apparently like they were dating, and Samantha had no idea. At this point, Samantha had already realized that he was the boy that she had created when she was with the bunnies. And like she's thinking, and she's like, the thing about him that frightens me the most is that his features don't stay fixed, they shift. Sometimes he's the street busker I watched at fire in Edinburgh. Sometimes the silver-shirted dark wave boy with the white spikes and the clove smoky kiss. The lone wolf I would visit at the zoo as a teenager with Alice. I'd stare at his lean body sitting still beneath a wind-warped tree and think if he went free what would happen. The Czech cab driver who I thought was going to pull over and kill me. I was so convinced of my imminent death at his hands I prayed all the way home. My childhood best friend Brian, of the wheat-colored hair and the gentle voice, and the quiet intelligence my mother proclaimed positively freaky for a 5-year-old. He exists in my memory as sunlight on a white blonde cowlick. And like, all these people that she mentioned were kind of the people she thought about when she was creating Max. And like, if his features change, how doesn't Ava notice, right? That's what I was thinking. Cause like, if Samantha can see the shift, why can't Ava? But anyway, like the dinner continues and Max starts like saying cute things to Ava or something, and Samantha realizes that what he's saying are the things that Samantha has written, because she is writing about Ava. And basically, Max only loves Ava because Samantha loves Ava, and Max is kind of basically Samantha. And Max says that he's working on some secret art project at the university. And one day, Samantha has like a workshop meeting with the bunnies and also their professor. And Samantha doesn't really have anything to present, but the others do. And they all get there separately, which never usually happened. And they all look very different, both very different from each other and also very different from what they used to look like. And as they present their works, they're very rude to each other. And basically that's like their true selves, away from like the hold they had on each other or whatever was happening. And they all write about loving the same boy, and that is Max. And this was like his secret project. He was kind of trying to get them all to fall in love with him so he could like destroy them. And because like Samantha hates them, so Max also hates them. After that, Samantha keeps thinking that she should tell Ava that her boyfriend was created from a bunny, right? You know? So she does tell Ava, and Ava doesn't really like react. And then Samantha explains, and you know, there's that. And then Samantha has to leave, and when she comes back home, Ava is dead. But it's not really Ava's body, it's a swan. There's a dead swan, and that swan was Ava. Yeah, you heard me right. That swan was Ava. Because apparently, a while ago, like a year before, when Samantha was on a park, she was feeling very lonely, and she went there to watch the swans, and she basically just conjured Ava from a swan. Apparently, she was creating people out of things before the bunnies were, and like she's kind of even weirder than they are. After that, Max is like there also like near the body, and body like the swan, and he stops like being all those different people that Samantha imagined, and he just becomes Samantha. He's like, he is her. And then both of them go to Eleanor's house. And they go there with the intent to kill them all, but then they don't actually end up killing them. They get injured, but they're definitely not dead. And after that, Max just becomes the stag that he was before, because apparently he wasn't created from a bunny. He was created from a stag that the girls saw outside of Eleanor's house, or Curious, or whoever's house it was. And after that, it's pretty much the ending, and we find out that almost every single person that Samantha talked to, which were many, to be fair, but, every single person she talked to, except for the bunnies and their professor, were, created by Samantha. So, there's that. And, like I said, things did get weirder, because I thought the bunnies were the most weird, but apparently Samantha was already doing this before she even knew that the bunnies were doing it, and she was conjuring people out of everything, not just bunnies. And I still did definitely really enjoy this book, and I did like the ending, but I just feel like I wanted more of that time when Samantha was under the influence of the bunnies, that part when she wasn't really seeing herself as herself, like a singular person. I really liked that, but it only lasted for 1 or 2 chapters. Anyway, let's just go into my final thoughts. Okay, so I think I can say that this was the strangest book I've ever read, but it was definitely the kind of weird that I like, and I loved the feeling that I got when I was reading this. It made me very, very, very uncomfortable, but in an amazing way. Also, the writing style was really beautiful, but beautifully unsettling. And the way that everyone talked was so weird, and it just made everything so much more uncomfortable, because I imagine that if people were talking like that to me, I would be very uncomfortable. And I hated that feeling, but I also loved that feeling. And yeah, it was just very strange and very uncomfortable and unsettling, but amazing. Also, I really like that these followed a master's student, because as a master's student myself, I felt like that was very relatable. And my favorite part was definitely the most uncomfortable one, or at least the one that felt most uncomfortable to me, which was when Samantha was under the influence of the bunnies, when she wasn't really seeing herself as a singular person, when she was thinking of herself as we, that was the part that definitely made me the most uncomfortable, but also the one that I liked reading the most. And I really wish that that part of the story was longer. And I think I said this at one of the updates where I talked about it, that we only got 1 or 2 chapters where Samantha felt like that. And I don't know, I just wish we had more of that, because that really, really was amazing. So if you like horror, but specifically weird horror, because this is not something that's straight up scary, I don't know, ghosts or vampires, zombies, I don't know, whatever is straight up scary. Yeah, this is not exactly that type of horror. It's just horror that makes you feel uncomfortable. If you like that sort of thing, then definitely read this book. And so, yeah, I had a great time reading this book, and like I said, I really enjoyed this kind of weirdness, and I am giving it 4 stars. Okay, so I think this is everything for this week's video. I hope you enjoyed it, and if you did, give it a like and subscribe, and I will talk to you next time. Bye!